Hi, everyone. How are you doing? I hope that you're doing amazing and fantastic and wonderful. I'm so excited to be chatting with you guys tonight. Hi, Alicia. How are you? Oh, guys, today has been like a whole entire event. Oh my goodness. Hi, Renee. Um, so as some of you guys probably know, I'm on summer break and my boys still go to school during summer break. And uh hi MB. Hi Ashley. And so um I got a message from my son's school at like, oh, I don't know, uh 11:30 saying that a water main broke and that I needed to pick up both of my children within the hour. Now, mind you, this was right during lunch and nap time for my children. Yes. Yes. I'm enjoying the creature comforts of home. Ah, Gary, I love it. Um, and so, needless to say, I had both of my lovely children at home for the rest of the day, and my husband didn't get home until almost 5, and, uh, my little lovely children rebelled during nap time. So, I am as exhausted as I can be, but I'm super stoked to talk about Shady Hollow by Juno Black. Now, this was my second time reading this book. So while I'm talking, I want to know your guys's uh Clio ratings or book ratings, but I didn't know that the author is actually two authors, that it's two people writing the same thing. I had no idea because the first time I read this book, I only listened to it on audio, and so I didn't like see the picture of the authors. But this week I wanted to do a tandem read. Um, and so I actually spent basically a whole entire day reading this book, sitting in my new comfy reading chair. Do you guys see this amazing reading chair? I slept in it for like 2.5 hours a couple of days ago, and it was glorious. But I really, really enjoyed tandem reading this. Um, Five Cleos, I loved it. It was so cute. Hi, Kathy. Four Cleos already continued in the series. Yes. Five Cleos. Um, Three Cleos, too little shady, too much hollow. I can see that. Three Cleos. I went to a reading of theirs at a local bookstore. It was super fun to hear the origin story. Oh, I'd love to know the origin story because I have no idea. That chair is amazing. Thank you. It is so fantastic. Four Cleos. It even has an amazing like ottoman. I If you guys followed me on Instagram, I like manifested this this chair like within hours of like posting about it. I'm so excited. Five Cleos read the second this month. Yes. I love it. And how did you guys read it? Cuz the first time I read it, I gave it a 4 stars just based off of the audiobook, but reading it in tandem like made me rate it 5 stars. Like I loved it that much more. Um and so I really enjoyed that. Um I love I love like the author's note as well. It says Shady Hollow is a tale of woodland creatures, and from time to time, the contemplative reader may pause to wonder precisely how a town functions with foxes and rabbits as tenants of the same building, or how a mouse and a moose can chat eye to eye. Keep in mind, gentle reader, that this is a work of fiction. The characters' resemblances to real creatures, alive or cruelly murdered, is incidental indeed. For those who feel compelled to resolve this issue before continuing with the story, you may wish to think of the characters merely as humans with particularly animalistic traits. In other words, just like you and me. With that guidance, welcome to Shady Hollow. I loved the author's note. I see some people read Monique loved the book. Physical library book. I tandem read it. It makes me zone in better. I agree. Libby with Kindle. I read book one physical while my mom got cataract surgery. Hey, dual working at things. I hope your mom's surgery went well. I loved the author note. I read it physically. Yeah, I feel like the author's note really is for those people who um, might have trouble suspending their disbelief because it's a cozy mystery with animals as the main characters. But I really, really enjoyed it. So the setup is reporter Vera Vixen, who is a fox, has a nose for news. So when she catches wind that the death might be a murder, she resolves to get to the bottom of the case, no matter where it leads. As the fox stirs up still waters, she exposes more than one mystery and discovers that additional lives are in jeopardy. Vera investigations unearth more about the town than anyone ever suspected. It seems someone in the hollow will do anything to keep her from solving the murder, and soon it will take all of Vera's cunning and quickness to crack the case. A bum bum bum. I okay, so I will say that when thinking about the murder mystery part of the book, um, I realized that it took a while um for us to get to the second murder of Reginald von Beaverfelt. Um, and so I think that sort of it took me a while to like really figure out what was going on with the mystery, right? Because even though I read this a second time, the first time I read it was over 2 years ago. So I, of course, remembered the feeling of the book, but I did not remember all of the characters or the details of the book. So it was still basically fresh to me and my mind. Um, but one of the things that I feel like I really missed out on from reading it via audio instead of reading it physically is getting the map of the town. So for those that didn't read it physically, they actually have like the map of the town and where everything is, because it was sort of hard for me to picture that whenever I was reading it, you know, via audiobook. And one of the other things that I absolutely loved is the cast of characters at the beginning of before the book starts. I really feel like more authors should do that. Put a cast of characters. You don't have to tell me, any like juicy gossip about them, but like having a cast of characters and knowing who's who, that that really, really helps a lot. But I I loved the beginning of the book and like how it sort of started with Gladys Honeysuckle, the hummingbird being sort of like the town gossip and busybody, and like she's the one who finds the body of Otto Sumpf. Um, I thought that that was a really smart way to give us sort of a, a heads up or a bird's eye view of the mystery. I thought that that was a very clever way of giving us the start of the mystery. I really enjoyed that, and like her flying into the newsroom and her then sort of like not keeping together and then telling Vera what happened. I also love how later when Vera comes back into the newsroom, Gladys is like now perfectly fine and like adding all of these hyperbolic feelings to her story. I thought that that was really interesting. I really appreciated the cast of characters. I didn't worry about forgetting who was who. I love when mysteries have a cast of character lists. If there are a lot of characters, it can be hard to keep straight who is who. Seriously, it really can. It has whatever the word like trifecta is for four things: map, cast of characters, prologue, and an epilogue. Yes, it's like, is it like the quad ecta? Is that a word? I don't know. I don't know if that's a word. Although after she found the body, I expected her to be a bigger part of the story. I read it without reading the description, so I didn't know who the point of view character was going to be. Yeah, I can totally see that. If I remember correctly, the origin story is that the authors are coworkers at an indie bookstore in Madison. One night they stayed late to do inventory and were super exhausted and slap happy. This is brilliant. I am so excited. That's just fantastic. Um I really really enjoyed sort of seeing the way that the town was made, and like how who was who, like BW Stone, the cigar chomping skunk of an editor of the Shady Hollow Herald. BW, because everything is in black and white, loves a good headline. Would he kill to create one? Like I love that so much. And I can really picture these characters not only as animals and creatures, but I can also really see them as people in my head. It They did very, very well of writing the characters and like how they are. The store carries the little wooden creature puppets, and in their delirium, they made the puppets into characters and gave them names, and the story was born. That's freaking brilliant, Jenna. I thank you for sharing that. That is awesome. I loved that. Um, and thanks to Gary so much so, for giving us some discussion questions as well. Um, so speaking of characters in this book, I really like this question. Which common animal traits and perceptions fit best with the character roles, etc.? The wise owl professor, and which were the least convincing? Example, the hissing snake doctor. Um, that I really like that. I think that, I for the most part, I think that they kind of nailed it down on who was who, though I feel like Joe, the genial giant of Moose runs the coffee shop, the local gathering spot. I guess maybe I don't know enough about moose, or like mooses? Nieces? The moose race species? Um, to really understand sort of like their qualities. Um, because when you think about like uh Orville or Theodore, like bears, like I think of them as law enforcement. Like I don't know why, but that's just like I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And when I think of Lenore as the Dark Knight Raven who opened the town's bookshop, there are so many bookshops that I know of that have like owls or ravens or, something like that. And so birds really seem very literary to me. And I've never really thought about like how animals feel to me as I'm reading them. Um, I That's been really, really interesting. I liked the gentle moose Joe and the inquisitive fox Vera and the brawny bear Orville. Yes. I kept picturing the newspaper editor as the editor from Spider-Man for some reason. Get out of my head, Ashley. Yes, that's what I kept thinking. I think the characters and their traits match to what I pictured as animal traits. Just well done. Yes. Once I put Joe the moose in flannel and thought Luke Danes, oh, he really worked for me. Yes. 100% yes. I love book club, guys. I love you guys so much. Um, one of the characters that I really enjoyed was Howard Chitters, the timid accountant for the sawmill, and how he was like he was a mouse, right? I think he was a mouse. Yes, pretty sure. 93% sure. Um, I really, really enjoyed him and like his anxious sort of being and just how much he loved the sawmill and was just trying to do right by his wife and all of those things. I thought that that was really well done. And like suddenly being a panda and a doctor, I I really 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 liked that. Uh I wasn't picturing Joe as Luke, but I definitely will now. Yes, amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Um so I really appreciated those kind of things. I guess one of the things that I never really thought about was like beavers being kind of snooty and um self-involved. Uh I think that like I probably would have thought that about maybe owls sort of like thinking thinking really highly of themselves. Uh so yeah, BW reminded me of Joe Jonah Jameson also. And Joe's the softer side of Luke, but that was the picture I had in my head. Yes, yes, yes. Um, but I really, really enjoyed Anastasia and Esmeralda von Biederpelt. And like I loved sort of seeing their evolution throughout the book because at the beginning you're sort of introduced to them and they're bratty, spoiled brats, right? Like they are self-involved, they are um just self-indulgent, spending all of daddy's money, like all of those things. And I think as the book continues, you see that they're really just using how they were raised. They're the hand they were dealt, um, and the parents they were given. Um, is sort of just pulling them in the direction that they're acting, but once given a longer leash and able to move around in the town more and see other things, you can really, really tell that they want to be more than what they are perceived to be by the outside world. Um, and that really, really warmed my heart. I really, really liked that. Um, Lefty, the masked raccoon, was the perfect jailbird. He probably looked like he should be in jail. Yes, Lefty and his girlfriend cracked me up. I I really, really loved their relationship. Um, in my head, the Von Beaver Pelt girls were the wicked stepsisters from Cinderella. Yes, yes. I agree. So as we're going through the story and Vera is really trying to figure out what happened. You know, Vera is from a big city and she moved to the small city of Shady or the small town of Shady Hollow because she really wanted to sort of live like a slowed down life. But it actually became so slow that she was kind of getting bored. Um and then this murder occurs to Gus and or Otto. Um, and we realize that maybe we don't know people as much as we think that we know them. And I really appreciated how they sort of intertwined um, how Otto really was to others around. Um, you know, everybody gets a certain side of you, right? Like there's certain ways that you act at work versus how you act at home versus how you are with your friends and etc. And on the, you know, on the surface, Otto seemed like a grump, like a, you know, always complaining, never happy, those kind of things. And then you start seeing that he was always kind to children and that um, he was extremely kind to Ruby Ewing, who is there's none more friendlier and forgiving than Ruby, but Ruby has her share of scandals too. And she was the sheep, the mistress of Reggie, is what she called Reginald von Beaverpelt. So did Ruby remind you of the proverbial black sheep? who was cast away from the herd and found a second chance in Shady Hollow. What drew Ruby, the town tart, to bond with Otto, the town grump, and enlist services of Lefty, the town jailbird? Um, I really do feel like people are attracted to like people, in a lot of ways. Like, I'm attracted to, like, when someone mentions a book, I'm automatically drawn to them, right? Because I'm a bookish person, so I'm automatically going to be drawn to those kind of people. And I think that since Ruby was, shunned by her herd because of her trysts, um and that Otto was not as friendly of a person, and that Lefty was, always robbing something, that I think that they all had something in common. Um yes, they all felt like outcasts, and I feel like I can see how Ruby would have gotten pulled closer to them. Otto was alone, and Ruby was probably the only person who um, gave Otto the time of day and was actually friends with him and actually tried to, meet with him on a level in which he was respected and listened to. Um, and whereas, you know, Ruby also hired Lefty in sort of shadiness on her end, but it made Lefty feel more legit, and so that sort of gave him a boost of like, maybe I'm not all bad. I can see that. Ruby had some redeeming qualities, but I think she was still too much of a free spirit to fit in. Yes, I think that it's not necessarily that she was too much of a free spirit. I think that she pushed against societal norms a little bit too much when it came to, having a tryst with a married man. Like, I feel like you can be a free spirit and have all of the trysts that you want. And a town might look a little bit like on it, but they don't really have room to talk. Whereas she was going after a married man, I think that that is sort of what kind of pushed, um, her from being just a free spirit to be trying to be a homewrecker, though there wasn't that much of a home to wreck since, the Von Beaverfeldts, relationship was very, very rocky to begin with. Um, I think that Ruby sort of just broke open something that was already cracking in the Von Beaverfeld, family. That's sort of how I'm getting it. Um, Now it took a while for us in this book to really get to a point in which the mystery started to unravel. We've got Vera, who's trying her damnedest to figure out the who done it so that, people stop buying locks to put on their doors and that people start to feel safe. And um she gets herself in a lot of trouble, not only with Orville, who's trying to do the same thing, but actually as his job, but she gets in trouble with the killer because she's getting too close and asking too many questions, and she gets almost, destroyed by a boulder coming down a hill. Thank God that her friend was there to save her, right? Like, Lenore was flying above the sky, um, trying to save her. So we have our first murder, the accidental murder of Otto. But does it make it more challenging to investigate because Otto was an unintended victim? Were there enough clues to solve Otto's murder before the second murder? In honesty, I really don't think that there were. Um, as I was reading the book and as I like tandem reading and I was really able to focus in on the book and not, try to listen while I was cleaning. Um, I really was trying to remember the whodunit, and I was trying to follow the clues as I was hearing them and the red herrings and all of that, and I, for the life of me, could not have told you who I thought the killer was of Otto, um, until the second murder occurred. I feel like the second murder was really what we needed for things to start falling together. I think that the one of the things that I wish is that the second murder had came a little bit quicker, um, because I feel like I was sort of just hanging on, and I didn't feel as much a part of the mystery, solving aspect as I have in other cozy mysteries that we've read. With Otto's murder, there was no motive. Nobody wanted Otto dead. I was too hyper focused on motive and ignored means and opportunity. Agreed. Like, I kept like, yeah, he's a grump, but you know, every town has a grump. And he was never cruel. He was never like, sabotaging anyone. Um, like even at the funeral, when we were reading the scene of the funeral of Otto, nothing really stuck out of as like, oh, he was such a horrible guy. It was like, yeah, he went through a lot in his life. And I really loved the fact that they sort of uh gave us more information about Otto during the funeral, about like who he was before he came to Shady Hollow and like what he did for a living. One of the things that I thought was really cool was the shorthand and like the different things in his journals. I watched a video, guys, cuz this is what I do. I like find a new thing and then I want to know how to do it. I was watching a video on YouTube about shorthand, and oh my goodness, it's just like so wow. Wow, writing in shorthand is an amazing talent. I agree with your assessment. I enjoyed the characters, but solving the murder became secondary in my mind. Yes, yes, exactly. It became like, oh, I'll be happy when the murder is solved, but I really just want to know more about these characters. That's sort of how my mind was as I was reading it. And it was just sort of the perfect kind of read for me at that time. Um, Reminiscent of Stuck on Murder's fallout from an affair, was the husband, Reginald's murder, too predictable in that the killer was either the wife, Edith, for jealousy, or the mistress, Ruby, for rejection? Did the blackmail scheme only delay the inevitable? So was like, I was sitting there, and as I was reading, because of course I didn't remember the whodunit from 2 years ago when I first read this book. I was like, oh, what if the murder is Howard Chitter's? I was like, that would be interesting because maybe he's not being taken care of as well as he's supposed to. And his wife is pushing for more and all of these things, because I'm like, it can't always be the wife or the mistress. Like, that was how it was in my mind. I was trying to think of even more like shocking, um like potential suspects. And so whenever it was revealed that Ruby killed Otto accidentally because she meant to poison Reggie with the wine, but Lefty left the wine in the wrong place, and so then she had to stab Otto in the back to make it look like not poison. Um, I and then she killed Reginald later, and then like the blackmailing, and she was like, I feel like it. I wish it could have been just a little bit more. Um, Meg, a former coworker, could write in shorthand, so much more useful than cursive, right? Like, so much more useful and just so much cooler. So much cooler. Like, I want to be able to just like write my ideas or jot down like some writing in my work in progress and just do it shorthand so that I don't have to think like write it all out as much. I toyed with it being one of the daughters. That would have been an interesting twist as well. I would have really liked to have maybe seen that. That could have been really, really cool. Um, if you guys could live in Shady Hollow for a day, which woodland creature would you be? I would 100% be Lenore Lee. I mean, she opens the town's bookshop where people had never really read before. And like, I love that she has a penchant for mysteries. And I think that I would just really, really love to be in a bookshop that is in I think it's in a tree. Like, that just sounds absolutely wonderful. And just, I would love it. But could I be a black cat instead of a black raven? Because I really want to be a black cat. I think that would be good. Um, I've read 4 books in the series now. They tend to be easy mysteries to figure out. It's the characters and the setting that make it worth it. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, these covers are to die for. They're amazing. 100% Lenore. Um, owns a bookstore, can fly, plus shiny objects, right? I would be a quirky squirrel named Dash Roundtree. I love that so much. Vera, so I could be a foxy lady. Yeah. I loved like listening to how they dressed, and like it just it made my heart so happy. And it reminded me of Little Bear. Um I don't know if any of you guys ever watched Little Bear. That was one of my childhood cartoons, like Saturday morning cartoons. And I loved Little Bear so much. So much. And this book gave me Little Bear vibes with like murder, but I mean, 100% totally worth it. Uh, I loved it so much. Um, bonus question for romantics only. Who will make the first move, Orville or Vera? I'm pretty sure that technically Orville made the first move by asking her out on a date, but I think that she will make the first move for kisses. I think so, because she's gonna be way too impatient for him to take his sweet time. I think I think that it's totally gonna be Vera. Vera Orville finally gives Vera a bear hug. Vera, yes. 1,000,000%. I enjoyed this so much. And I think there's how many books are in the series? I think there's quite a bit from what I remember, at least like 9 or 10. No, there are 6 books in the series. We've got Shady Hollow, Cold Clay is book 2, Mirror Lake, Evergreen Chase, Twilight Falls, Phantom Pond, Summer's End, and Mockingbird Court. And all of the covers are so flipping cool. Though I will say the last book cover sort of veers away from what was originally like the covers. The 6th is coming out this fall. Awesome. I wish that there was a subplot that gave the reader a break from the investigation here and there. I would have loved the town event or something to put a little icing on the cozy vibe. I agree. Maybe they do that a little bit more in the subsequent books. I think that that would be something that would be really cool, like a fall or like summer equinox or like something like that. I think that that could be really, really cool. For before I wrap up, we do have a winner for July's theme, because so July was holiday themed. And I'm so excited to announce that Christmas Corpse by Mona Marple, aka Katie Forrest, won by a staggering amount. I guess everybody loves Christmas as much as me. But this is the first in a festive Christmas cozy mystery set in winter wonderland. And here is the setup. There are 9 books in this series, and the first book is the Kindle is, if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's on Kindle Unlimited, or it's $5.99, and then there's the paperback as well. But it says, I always thought my name, Holly Wood, was the most ridiculous thing about my life. That is, until I nearly froze to death in a snowdrift and was rescued by a woman who insists she's the Mrs. Claus. Now I'm recuperating in her picture perfect cottage in a town called Candy Cane Hollow, where Christmas seems to be a year round affair. Just as I'm starting to think this strange holiday haven might be exactly what my lonely heart needs, especially with Mrs. Claus's incredibly attractive son, Nick, around, disaster strikes. The prickly, words are hard, receptionist from the local doctor's office has been poisoned by one of Mrs. Claus's famous mince pies, and suddenly my kind-hearted rescuer is number one suspect. With Mrs. Claus under house arrest by elf police officers, yes, actual elves, I find myself drawn into a web of small town rivalries, Christmas competitions, and potential killers. Nick and I are determined to prove his mother's innocence. But in a town where nothing is quite what it seems, can we find the real culprit before Christmas is ruined forever? After all, when you've found a place that feels like home, even if it's run by Santa's family, you don't give that up without a fight. Ba-bum-ba-ba-bum. I'm very excited that Christmas Corpse won. I've already ordered the paperback, and I know that the author, she actually just announced that I'm pretty sure that there's going to be audiobooks coming out. There's not any audiobooks right now, so you can either do Kindle or physical, but that's really exciting. I am super, super stoked to get started on that as well. My birthday is on July 6th, and so I think that that would be like the perfect little book to cuddle up in my new chair and just binge read. The whole book. But yeah, that is the end of book club, I think. Um, I'm going to probably not finish my decaf coffee, but most certainly eat my homemade peanut butter cookie that I made. I am going to curl up in bed and probably fall asleep because I got a text message a little bit ago saying that the water main is still not fixed, and so I cannot drop off my children in the morning. So wish me all of the luck with my 4-year-old and 2-year-old. I will need it. I will. I will. Um, Thank you always for a fun time. Yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you. I'm pretty excited about it. Fun as always. Bye bye, everyone. Um, I will see you all later. Best of luck tomorrow. Yes. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Bye.